Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Shake it, but get pointing out all the lies. Putting the scripture right in your eye. The Bible guy. He reads Hebrew and Greek and shows you that your book's not unique. The Bible guy. He turns through the pages until every Christian rages. The Bible guy. Watch one time and you're hooked. Now let's watch why the Christians get cooked. The Bible guy.
Howdy, everyone. Bible Guy here, coming at you live from Northeast Texas. Everyone, make sure you tap that screen, share the live with those you love, with those you hate, with your friends and with your enemies. Let's get the word out there so we can have some interesting conversations. I'm Dalton, the Bible Guy. I'm an atheist, not a Christian. Today's topic is, why should I be a Christian? Did you hear that Russell is debating Ian? And Russell is bragging about his unbeatable argument. Nope. Did he regress? Seems a bit presumptuous. Agnostic means lack of knowledge. Yep. Russell can't even argue Davidic lineage. See, I thought he was deconstructing, but I guess not. Howdy, partner.
Hello. So if my connection's a bit bad, I am outside. Russell is, yeah, he is, I'm just gonna say he's an absolute idiot. Yeah, I know. I don't know, he just doesn't accept science. I don't know if he's a creationist, he just doesn't answer questions properly.
Okay.
Yeah, like literally can't argue. I think he's the worst debater I've ever met. Maybe, I forget what the guy is, kind of like Deathless or something.
Yeah,
He's another app.
Deathless is the worst.
Yeah. Oh, whoa.
Oh.
I got okay. I'll leave. I was just hopping in to say hi, but anyway,
Right.
got a restriction. All right, but yeah, no.
Sorry, bud. Anki Loditz, I'm gonna ask you 3 preliminary questions and then we'll get to the conversation. Are you at least 18 years old?
Yeah.
And what pronouns do you go by?
What do you mean?
Pronouns are words that replace nouns in sentences in order to avoid repetition. Words like he, him, she, her, they, them.
Oh, yeah, the guy ones.
Which would be?
He, him.
And are you a Christian?
Yeah.
All right. I'm Dalton, the Bible Guy. Why should I be a Christian?
You're not?
No.
Why are you the Bible guy then?
Because I know the Bible better than most Christians do on TikTok.
That's a bold claim.
Yeah, well, it's been repeatedly demonstrated on this live.
Okay, I'm not familiar, so I'm not trying to like be mean or anything. I thought it was interesting. Well, there's a lot of reasons to be a Christian. I mean,
let's just go with the best one.
Like, because Jesus loves you and so does God.
Well, non-existent people and dead people can't love anyone, so God can't love me because as far as I know he doesn't exist, and Jesus can't love me because he's dead.
Okay, but I mean, the evidence is just everywhere.
I don't see it.
So like when you look outside and you see all the like complexity and like grandeur of it all, it's like
it's pretty cool.
Nope.
But it doesn't lead me to believe in a God.
Right? Why not though? Like,
because
where did it all come from?
Well, why? Who's to say it didn't always exist?
Sorry, one more time.
Who's to say it didn't always exist?
Um, like the Earth or the universe?
The universe.
Okay, yeah. I mean, maybe. I don't know
Yeah.
that much about like cosmology.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, everything that exists on the earth formed naturally through evolution and other natural like mechanics, so no real reason to believe in a god.
Yeah, but have we actually like witnessed like a transitional species?
Every species is a transitional species. My
Yeah, but I
father
mean like
is a transition. If when my father dies and his bones are left over, those bones will be a transitional species between my grandfather and me.
you're a different species than your grandfather?
No, but like no, evolution doesn't teach that anytime that you have a progeny that it'll be a different species than its like forebearer, because of how gradual and
So
slow evolution takes. It takes millions and millions of years to see any amount of change in evolution. Like, imagine a color gradient that's divided into like 200,000 slivers from black to white. From one color to the next, you'll never see any real substantial difference, but it does change eventually.
so you're saying try to point out exactly where black turns to white on the gradient, but there's so many slivers of the gradient, there's just no way to really distinguish that.
Yep, the same would be true for like Homo sapiens came from Homo erectus, but it's not like there was ever a Homo erectus that gave birth to a Homo sapien. The transition was so gradual that every single like offspring looked like this. It was the same species as their parent, but small mutations build up over hundreds of thousands of years.
But didn't they exist at the same time? Like, how does that work then? Because they
No,
didn't,
Neanderthals existed at the same time as us.
but not Homo erectus.
No, we came from them.
Okay, interesting. So what's the Neanderthal then?
It's just another hominid species. Like the it branches off and you get multiple hominids, some existing at the same time. Homo sapien and Homo neanderthalis coexisted and even lived together at one point. And 15% of of all human DNA has Neanderthal DNA in it.
Can you tell me exactly what happened in like Sweden yesterday? Like an event that happened exactly that you didn't witness or you could never witness. Like,
Now, without
so how do we
evidence,
know what happened like 2 million years ago?
through
Like, if we
evidence,
can.
like
Yeah, but
we
like,
find Homo neanderthal and Homo sapien like bones with each other. We look at the human genome and we see that we have 15% Homo neanderthal. Some 15% of the population have Homo neanderthal DNA. So it shows that we were living at the same time as them, and that at least a part of the population, in part, descends from them.
right, but it's people coming across piles of bones and then just kind of calling it whatever
Well,
they want to call it and
not
saying this
really,
is where
not
this
not
animal came
not
from.
not really. But I have a expert here who can probably give you better answers.
Okay.
Hey, so yeah, first of all, I'd like to provide some specific evidence of so when two species speciate, usually what happens is there's some kind of really big chromosomal event. So if you're not familiar, chromosomes package DNA, and DNA is what makes you, you, and me. Now, there was a chromosomal fusion event many years ago, well, more like hundreds upon hundreds of years ago, which is one of the reasons why chimpanzees have an extra chromosome compared to humans. Now, we identified the sequences that are in chimpanzee chromosomes and found where the fusion site actually occurred with replicate like the exact replicates of that DNA surrounding that area, which is how we know it's a fusion site. We also find telomeric DNA in this fusion site, which is another reason why we know that this was a fusion site and not just some random spot in DNA. So to be very specific here, there is the genomic structure and evolution of the ancestral chromosome fusion site in 2q13 to q14.1 and paralogous regions on other human chromosomes. Another one is genomic structure and paralogous regions of the inversion breakpoint occurring between human chromosomes 3p12.3 and orangutan chromosome 2. So this is another non-human great ape, which provides evidence, again, of the same kind of ultimate evolution towards Homo sapiens. Another one is breakpoint analysis of the pericentric inversion distinguishing human chromosome 4 from the homologous chromosome in the chimpanzee, pan troglodytes. And you can feel free to look up these on the web by the titles that I just provided. I can also provide you with the PMID. Just give me a moment to open up the link. Or you can go to the sources for discussion document that I have, which is free to access for anybody who wants to see it. In my link in bio, if you just scroll all the way down, since I'm not the owner of this live, you could probably do that on like a secondary account or something. And additionally, we also have evidence by something called retroviruses. So retroviruses are not evolutionarily favorable for our survival. However, they do build up just as a product of us living around and being like living our lives. And we actually share approximately 213 or 200, I believe it's 213. If I memorize the number, I am goated. Let's see, 200 and, yep, I memorized the number. 213 endogenous retroviral insertions are shared between us and chimpanzees, which is really not likely if we aren't biologically related to them. Mainly because when you look at other organisms, they have different levels of shared retroviruses that are much lower. Because they're not the same species and they speciated from a common ancestor from us, significantly further away from us. However, because chimpanzees are one of our most common ancestors to like another non-Homo sapien, non-Homo sapien great ape, that's why we share so much endogenous retroviral insertions with them. And then additionally, I would like to bring up specific structures such as the palmaris longus muscle in humans versus non-human primates. So I'm just going to turn on my camera to show you exactly what I'm doing right now. So there's this thing right here. You see this line right there in the middle of my wrist? That is the tendon for the palmaris longus muscle. Now, approximately 10% of humans, and this number is growing, actually do not have this muscle because it plays a really big role in swinging from trees to trees. And we see that in old world monkeys, new world monkeys, and even in non-human primates, the palmaris longus muscle is either more present, larger and more developed, and it is actually literally a gradient. So I'm just going to pull up this study to show you the graph because it's rather fascinating. So this is the graph here. So as you can see, modern humans are down here, whereas lemuriforms, which are basically like lemurs, new world primates, old world primates, and apes are all in a gradient all the way down to modern day humans. And modern day humans, as you can see, the error bars go a little bit lower, and that's because the palmaris longus is slowly evolving out of basically human existence. Additionally, there's something called molar agenesis, which basically is the removal of a large molar in the back of our mouth, which is more likely to result in mortality due to a tooth infection when compared to like just not having this molar. So as a result, we're literally seeing less and less people every year being born with a third molar. And so a good study to like look at this is the third molar agenesis is associated with facial size. The PMID is 343-56505. So evolution in humans hasn't stopped. There is very, very strong evidence in both our DNA, which literally shows scar sites where we evolved from chimpanzees and non-human apes, as well as current examples such as the molar and the palmaris longus, which provide evidence for evolution of human beings.
So you're saying like when a break occurs, it like splits a gene in half?
No.
Or
So the ends of your chromosomes are capped with something called telomeres, which are basically like palindromic repeats, which they're not readily found throughout the genome because a lot of them are kind of bad for you. Most of them are like endogenous retroviruses or transposons, which are commonly found at the centromere. So what you have is usually you have the telomere cap, then you have a bunch of protein and like protein coding DNA and actively transcribed genes. So these can not only be actively transcribed genes, but also activation sequences and repression sequences. This is usually in between the telomere, which is one of the repeats that you find in your genome, and the centromere, which is the center of your genome, which are tied together during mitosis in order to allow for sister chromatids to separate properly. And so usually you'll find only repeats at those two areas in the genome. However, we can identify similarities between sequences of the telomeres and sequences found at these fusion sites to identify where exactly two chromosomes may have fused. So you find the ends of DNA in the middle of DNA, like unironically. And so that's how you know that it's not just some random sequence in DNA, but rather literally the ends of DNA that got fused together during a chromosomal fusion event. And those were the three studies that I cited at first.
Okay, that was a lot to take in. So,
Genetics is complicated.
yeah, I don't doubt that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna even try to like refute what you said. Like that's definitely true. Um, yeah, I think we're a little. Do you want to go back to like religion at this point,
Sure.
or would that just be a pivot?
Why should I be a Christian?
I mean, I guess according to the theology, you should because that's what God wants to happen.
God doesn't
Because
want
he wants that.
God doesn't want anything if he doesn't exist.
I mean, well, why don't you think he exists then?
No one's ever given me a good argument for God's existence.
Well, what about the Bible? Like you've probably read it, I'm assuming.
The Bible is what made me walk away from Christianity.
But that's what brings so much of us like closer to Christianity. So what?
Not when you study it in
So I'm
depth.
not sure.
I studied the Bible in depth,
Right.
learned the original languages, background, context, culture, and found that the Bible was contradicting science, contradicting history, contradicting itself, and thus cannot be true.
Right, but like what contradictions? Because obviously we study the Bible too. It's kind of our
Like-
book.
Like, who killed Goliath?
David.
Except for in 2 Samuel 21, verse 19, it tells me that Elhanan, the son of Jer-Orgim, killed Goliath.
Yeah, but what's the context?
Does any context matter when it says explicitly that a different person killed Goliath?
Was it the same author?
We only know we don't know who authored 1st and 2nd Samuel.
Oh. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about Elhanan.
Yeah. Or that one gospel places Jesus' birth during the reign of King Herod the Great, while another one places it during the census of Quirinius 10 years later.
Yeah, but who says he wasn't ruling like before that in like a different position or like in a different region?
Because we have a lot of data surrounding Quirinius, and we know exactly when his census took place. The whole reason for the census in the first place was because of Herod's death. If Herod wouldn't have died, then Quirinius wouldn't have had to do a census over the people of Judea.
I mean, why would that be like a big problem though? Because they were like different guys kind of approximating event from their memory or like
Yeah,
oral tradition.
Because if Jesus wasn't born during the reign of King Herod the Great, then the slaughtering of the infants and the departure to Egypt never happened. And if he's born during the time of Herod, then the whole reason for him to be in Bethlehem in the first place, being that his parents were trying to participate in the census, wouldn't have been occurring yet. one can be true, the other one can be false. They could both be false, but they can't both be true.
I mean, I'd accept that that both of them are not true. Like one is true, the other isn't. Like I don't see why that would be like an issue if they're approximating from either memory or
You,
oral
you,
tradition.
you just asked me for a contradiction, and I provided one for you. I provided two for you.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, okay, I'm gonna write that down. So you said the contradiction is which two gospels?
Matthew and Luke. Matthew chapter 2, verses 1, and Luke chapter 2, verses 1 through 2.
Okay, I'll read those later. But like, okay, I guess there are things that aren't mentioned in church. Like I've never heard this brought up in like any
Not-
Bible
not-
studies.
Not only that, but the New Testament lies about what the Old Testament says. For example, Hosea chapter 11, verse 1 says, "When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son." What is that about?
Sorry, say that one more time. I was reading the comments.
Hosea 11, verse 1, "When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I've called my son." What is that about?
Could you pull up the verse?
Yeah. Let's see. Give me a second.
Can you use the King James?
Sure. All right. I'll use the King James version. It's the worst Bible translation out there, but sure.
What do you mean? It's the most.
It's not. It's bad.
It was divinely inspired.
It was not. A divinely inspired text would not get shit wrong. We'll go into that next if you want me to. But anyways, Hosea 11, verse 1. It's not. Nope.
Because it gets the typology right.
Nope. Anyways, we have here. Let me fix my let me fix this real quick. All right. Let's see, make sure. All right. There it is. Hosea 11, verse 1 in the King James Version Bible. When Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. What is that about?
I'm not sure.
Well, here's our hints. Who's the subject?
Israel.
Uh-huh. And then I loved him. Who's the I there?
God.
Yep. And I called my son out of Egypt. So when did God love Israel and call them out of Egypt?
Before Egypt, before they got out.
With Moses, right?
Yeah, during the Exodus.
Now, if I go to the New Testament and I go to Matthew chapter 2, this is why I get told. Let's see. And when they were departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, "Arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him." When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night, and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." But that's not what the passage was about. It wasn't about the Messiah going to Egypt. It was about the Exodus.
I mean, sure, if you're taking it literally,
Plainly.
but who says Matthew isn't trying to be direct or literal? It's just like typology.
Yeah, he's making shit up in order to make it look like Jesus fulfilled prophecies when he didn't.
Well, yeah, because like I think
you wouldn't have
the true Israel.
You wouldn't have to do that for the real Messiah. You wouldn't have to make shit up to make it look like he's fulfilling prophecies.
Wait, are you Jewish?
Nope.
Well, why are you defending Judaism?
I'm not. I'm saying if there was a real Messiah, you wouldn't have to play all these games with the Old Testament in order to make it look like they were the Messiah. No, not as far as I can tell. If you have to play these kind of games with the Hebrew Bible to make Jesus look like he's the Messiah, then I'm going to say he's probably not.
I mean, I guess this is just a philosophical disagreement then.
If you say so. I mean, I'm just going to take the Bible for what it plainly says instead of like forcing it.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, I'm
You
about
use
to.
AI.
No, I'm about to look for a Bible verse. 1 second. You want to know where the Bible talks about where the King James Version gets wrong?
I mean, I don't believe.
Let's see. Can you dig up brass?
Dig up brass.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Isn't that an alloy?
Mm-hmm. Can you dig it up from the earth?
No. Well, no.
Do you think the King James Version Bible says that?
Right, but does it have to be like literal? Like if you're taking it literally, even though it's a book full
Yes.
of like metaphor and
Yes.
poetry. Okay.
Iron is taken out of the earth and brass is molten out of the stone. It's not, though.
Because it's not an ore? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Um,
But let me guess.
I-
It's symbolic. It's metaphorical.
It could be. I don't know. I haven't read this verse. I don't know this verse, so it could be. I don't know though. But why would it be literal? Like I don't know what the verse.
Why would it?
it?
Why would it not be shall Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Does the original the original Hebrew doesn't say anything about a virgin that shall conceive.
The verse is right there.
Yeah, but the original Hebrew doesn't say that.
Okay.
I can pull it up. Let me see.
Can you understand Hebrew?
Yep. I go to the Hebrew Bible. And I go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 7, verse 14. We see לכן ייתן אדוני חו לכם אות הנה העלמה הרע ויולדת בן וקראת שמו Emmanuel. Therefore the Lord himself will give to you a sign. Behold, the young woman is with child and will bear a son, and she will call his name Emmanuel.
But is present tense.
Yep.
So
And the woman in question isn't someone who will become pregnant in the future, but someone who was already became pregnant.
but it's the okay, I see. But isn't young woman and virgin like interchangeable or something? Like Betula? Is that the word?
No, they're not interchangeable. You can be a young woman and not be a virgin.
Right. Well, but why does like every English translation have the right thing though? Like where it actually is the prophecy.
Really? Let's
Or
see.
most. I shouldn't say all.
Let's see. Let's go to an actually good translation, like the New Revised Standard Version.
KJV is
Updated.
loaded.
It's not. It sucks ass. Here we go. Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. Look, the young woman is with child and shall bear a son and shall name him Emmanuel. Because it doesn't
What
use
version is this?
the New Revised Standard Version updated edition, it is the scholarly standard for biblical
Who
scholars.
translated it?
It's actually an ecumenical translation. So multiple groups came together, fact checking each other. That way, there was like to eliminate as much bias as they possibly could.
Bias or truth?
Bias.
Right. But how do you know that they were actually like Christians? Like how do you know that they didn't have malicious intent?
So conspiracy theory is your go-to argument. I can't take you seriously if you start spouting off conspiracy theories.
No, I'm not saying that's true.
You need to demonstrate that there was malintent.
Because it doesn't align with
Wait
what
a
is
second.
taught by like
Do you understand what bias is?
Yeah, it's when
Yeah,
you
so
have
if you have only one person with one type of view analyzing a text, then that is going to instill bias because you're only directing the translation of that text towards that one person's view. You're not getting an unbiased range of views. Unbiased means that there are multiple different people with multiple different individual viewpoints analyzing the same text. Bias is actually exactly what you described, which is if only Christians analyze the text.
right, but
That's
if it was
literally
an atheist,
bias.
atheists are against
No, atheists.
God.
No, they're not. Atheists are not against God. They're not for God. They're neutral towards all gods, including yours. And the team who is responsible for the new Revised Standard Version updated edition were mostly Christians and also a few Jewish scholars who all fact-checked each other so that they could eliminate as much bias in bringing out the translation as possible. Unlike the King James Version, which was literally headed out by King James, where he gave them rules that they weren't allowed to break on how to translate because he wanted to promote the monarchy. It's not even the King James Version is not even a translation. It's a revision of the Bishop's Bible.
Well, you've given me a lot to think about, and I don't have rebuttals for the scholarly stuff, so I think I'm going to give you a follow and stick around because I'm guessing you go live a lot and talk to Christians.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool. Well, see ya.
See ya. All right. David, hey bud.
Hey, bud. I just wanted to ask real quick, what format of the Hebrew Bible / Old Testament do you prefer to study?
You mean like English translation?
No, not like the versions. I mean like the order.
You mean the order of books?
Yeah, like do you prefer the Hebrew Bible or do you prefer the Old Testament?
Oh, it doesn't make any difference to me.
Oh, that's true. You know the original Hebrew.
I mean, the only difference between a Jewish Tanakh and a Christian Old Testament, besides one's more poorly translated from the Hebrew, being the Christian Bible, is just that the books are just in a different order, but they're all the same books.
Yeah, you don't think the order matters?
Not really.
Okay, that's good to know.
I think the only time I think the order really matters is that the book of Ezra follows the book of Daniel in the Jewish canon. And as a result, it tells you explicitly at the beginning of Ezra what Daniel chapter 9's prophecy was meant to be commensurated by, being the proclamation of King Cyrus the Great. And Christians miss that because I believe it's Hosea that follows Daniel in their Bible, so they miss it altogether. Other than that, though, it really doesn't matter all that much.
Okay, sweet. That's really good to know. I appreciate it.
Have it out, bud. Deconstructed. Howdy, partner. Welcome back up to the live. What brings you up?
What happened? Okay.
Deconstructed? I don't think they know.
That was a mistake. It was a mistake.
You're good. I got you. Which American translation was Jesus reading? That's the one for me. Sarcasm. Well, if you would ask a King James Version onlyist, they might think it's the King James Version Bible. At least that's the way they seem to talk.
How are you doing today, Dalton?
I'm doing fine. Just a little bit down, but otherwise I'm fine. Fantasy Frankie. And they were here and then they were not. Safari.org go-to site for Jewish scripture, Hebrew and English, word by word translation. Yep, that's the one that I used, everyone. If you're looking for a good source for a big giant Jewish library of text, yeehaw, thank you for the cowboy hat. The Safaria is .org is the way to go. You get tons of texts, not just the Hebrew Bible, but the Mishnah, the Talmud, the Midrash, Halacha, Kabbalah, other liturgy works, Jewish thought, Tosefta, Chassidut, Musar, etc., etc. You get tons of stuff from Jewish history to read from for free, with English translations for a lot of it.
Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you, or if you ever need to talk to someone.
Thank you, Snitch. I appreciate it. What was the pivot point that made you start questioning your religion? Yeah, I was a young Earth creationist, and I remember one night laying in bed, remembering that starlight had a specific speed, and I thought to myself, I wonder what's the farthest star we can see with the naked eye. One of the stars listed was a star called V762 Cass in the Cassiopeia system, which was 16,000 light years away, and we can see it with the naked eye, meaning that I was wrong. So I started looking into restudying the science that I didn't pay attention to in high school. I watched Cosmos, A Space-Time Odyssey with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Evolution immediately made sense, as it was actually properly like taught, unlike, I was being taught evolution by people like Ken Ham and other weirdos who don't know anything about evolution. And so when it was brought to my attention in the accurate sense, it made sense. And, I started to, that was the beginning of my deconstruction away from religion. Evolution is not proven. It literally is. It's as proven as pretty much anything else in biology. How much of biology would be like thrown out the window if evolution wasn't true, Snitch?
Pretty much everything, and I think it's really important to remember that evolution is an explanation of observations. So the observations are facts, because that's what a observation is in science. It's a fact. And so, like, unless you had significant evidence or observations of things that went against the theory of evolution or the explanation of those observations, then, like, there's no reason why we should ever believe that people are correct in saying that evolution is not proven.
We have here Reverend Joseph Kalel, DD. I'm going to ask you 3 preliminary questions, and then we'll get to the conversation. Are you at least 18 years old?
Yes, I am. This is Rev Dr. Kal-El, your
right.
old buddy.
Oh, yes. It's been a very long time since we've spoken. How are you?
I deleted my other account and whatever, and I kind of disappeared. But hey, man, how's it going?
It's going good. It's good to hear from you again.
Yeah, I keep like catching you occasionally on deconstruction or whatever. Justin, and yeah.
I definitely need to start popping by more often over on his channel.
Yeah, so I have like maybe a small handful of questions, and I'll actually answer your question on your background if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, bud.
Okay, so Paul says, I think in Corinthians, that we were enemies of God before we converted, which implies if you're not converted, you're an enemy. And then we see Isaiah, I forget if it's 12 or 13, and then the end of Zechariah, talking about the end times war, Revelation 14, where there's going to be a river of blood up to the girdle of the horse. So all of like that end time battle, that's going to be populated. The people actually fighting in battle are going to be the Christians, right?
Well, I would say,
or God's people.
Yeah, I would just say probably like it's meant to be in the Hebrew Bible. It's meant to be Israelites.
And then Christians adopted themselves into the Israelite like lineage. So why should you be a Christian? So you don't end up in the river of blood.
Yeah, well.
But so my the thing that's been like resonating in my head or bouncing off in my head is like, so should I be threatened by Christians who agree to slaughter me in the end times?
Yeah, probably not.
Man. And then so here's another just off the wall question. In Matthew, Jesus says, "Peter, you are the rock upon which I build my church." The church, I forget the exact the Greek word for that, but it's like ekesios,
Ecclesia.
ecclesia, which means outcall, which would be kind of synonymous with legacy, right?
Legacy? I mean,
Legacy.
it means to, the idea of ecclesia is that it's of assembly of the reason it says called out is because typically like it's like called out to assemble. So that's essentially what it means, just an assembly of people. In this case, assembly of Christians.
Okay. I don't know. It was kind of a weird word. I mean, of course, I don't know the language, so I'm fragmenting pieces of information together to try to come out with it. But like,
I would
how is the
suggest
outcall or the call out?
I was say
Like, I guess what's the etymology?
yeah, like I think when it comes to Greek though, your best bet would be to turn to, are you familiar with the BDAG?
No.
So the BDAG lexicon, here, let me pull it up for you. Let's see, library lexicon. So the BDAG is like the gold standard in like Greek studies for the New Testament. And when we go to look at ecclesia, let me see. The eklektos, let's see. Eklethane, eklethake. Let me go down just a little bit. Oh, we've overshot it. Ekluo. Let's see. Eclepto. Where the fuck is it at? Here, give me a second to look for it. Yeah, the EK. Oh, no wonder I was in the EKK. Ek Ray. Echo. Ekli. We're getting there. Ecclese. Oh, we're almost there. Ecclesia. There we go. Ecclesia. A regularly summoned legislative body, assembly, as a generally understood in the Greco-Roman world. Statutory assembly. The term here contrasts with the usage in verse 32, and it also means a casual gathering of people and assembling together, people with shared beliefs, community, congregation. And the idea is from the root words ex, meaning out of, and kaleo, which means to call, because in order to like assemble, you get called out to the symbol.
Okay. Okay, so it is literally an assembly. Like, it's not necessarily brick and mortar church, but it is a hangout.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anywhere. As long as there's a group of people together assembling, that would be considered in Greek an ecclesia.
And just as somebody else in the comments just asked, so that's BDAG. Is that just the letter B, D, A, G?
Yes, but I will warn you, it is it's like $200.
Oh, okay.
This is like something that actual scholars in the field of biblical scholarship use when referencing the meaning of Greek words.
Is there a half as good free version?
The half as good free version would be the Thayer's Greek Lexicon, which you can find on sites like Blue Letter Bible. So for example, here I'll pull up Blue Letter. So let's say I go to Matthew 16, which is the passage in question, and I go to you are Peter, upon this rock I'll build my church, and I go to let's see, I will build my ecclesia. Click on the number. Ignore the first part because that's just the Strong's Concordance definition, and Strong's is bullshit. So go down, you'll find Thayer's Greek Lexicon. Properly, a gathering of citizens called out from their homes into some public place and assembly, so used among the Greeks, and it gives you examples.
All right. Yeah, I think I've stumbled across that, but it's good to know that's more of a legitimized source. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, bud?
No, that's all the Bible questions I had. I wish I knew a joke to tell you or something, man. It sucks that you're having one of those days. You know?
They happen.
Yeah.
But anyways, thanks for coming up, bud.
All right, man. See ya. Thanks.
Let's see. Everyone, make sure you're tapping that screen. But we have some super chats here. From at NB with the $2. I have been granted mod powers in Discord. Yowie go burr. So in the Discord, I hope you all enjoy your new unlimited access to Yowie and Yuri content. And at Liquid with the $2, have some monies. We hope you feel better. Much appreciated. And Babs Barrett with the £2. LO Governor. What was in the early church the agape? Agape is a Greek word which means love. Adam and Eve are mythology, but they do touch on universal truths about the human condition. I'm sure you can derive some, like, that's kind of like the purpose of myths, to make up stories and try to derive some sort of lesson from them. Let's see. Maybe we need to, it's been an hour. Maybe we'll do a quick restart on TikTok and then we'll get some fresh opposition in here. But Snitch, you're more than welcome to join me again if you want.
Will do.
Randall Patton says, whoa. Whoa, indeed, Randall. Poopman Jones, thank you for the cowboy hat. Yeehaw. God, I wish I could play some music for you guys, but all that copyright shit, you know? I was flaming up that goofball. What goofball? King Emmanuel says, why shouldn't you be a Christian? Because Christians haven't given you a reason to be a Christian. Have you studied any Islamic scripture? I'm familiar with a few passages from the Quran, like that semen comes from between the backbone and the ribs. And that one time Muhammad mistook Mary, the mother of Jesus, for Miriam, the sister of Aaron. Jesus remains the way? Nah, he's dead. Well, King Emmanuel, you're more than welcome to come up if you think you might have a good reason for me to be a Christian. By the way, in order to help me drink water more, I got this thing called Mio, which you squirt into your water, and it's supposed to make it taste like strawberry watermelon. It's been helpful. No request button. It's the little pink and blue people at the bottom of the screen. You click on that, and you can request to come up. Pee comes from the balls, semen comes from the backbone. Did you used to be religious? Yep. Super religious. Do you often bring up Jeremiah 33, verse 17 and 18? What is the typical apologetic response? I do often bring up Jeremiah 33 if I'm correct about what passage that is. Is this about how that there will never lack a Levitical priest to offer sacrifices before God? If that is what that verse is, then yeah, I bring it up all the time as a way of demonstrating that there is disharmony between the Old and New Testament. Was it hard to leave? Not really. I've always sort of like truth is my highest goal. So like when I found new truth, I just ran to it and was happy about it. Why is the Levirate marriage not brought up during these debates? I almost never hear it discussed. In what context, Velvet? All right, King Emmanuel figured out the button, so we're going to talk to them now. King Emmanuel, I'm going to ask you 3 preliminary questions, and then we'll get to the conversation. Question number one. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, are you at least 18?
You said?
And what pronouns do you go by?
I'm he.
And are you a Christian?
Yeah, I am a Christian.
All right. Why should I be a Christian?
Well, I think from your background, you mentioned that you used to be a Christian, so I guess you'll be familiar with some of the things I would say. Number one, the Christian belief is that, and not just a Christian belief, the reasonable belief is that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life.
Yep, that is your
And
belief. Question is,
yes, of course.
can that
That's
be
what
demonstrated?
Jesus told us. And we
Sure.
believe it.
I don't really think Jesus really taught that. I think that's just what someone else made Jesus say in the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 6. But why should I think it's true?
Why should you doubt it?
Because I've been given no good reason to think. I have lots of reasons to doubt it. Like, I have good evidence that the Gospel author of John is more than willing to just make shit up about Jesus.
Sorry, could you say that again?
I have very good reasons to believe that the Gospel author of John is more than willing to just make things up about Jesus.
Let me ask you a sincere question, very sincere question. When you were a Christian, did you have any supernatural encounters?
I thought I did, but it turned out they were just psychological phenomenon that I interpreted as being supernatural. 2020 vision, though, I'm able to recognize them for what they were.
Okay, so do you know that when Jesus spoke to us, he did mention, he said that this sign shall follow those who believe in me. Are you familiar with that verse?
Yeah, they should do all this nonsense like tread on scorpions and all that kind of stuff.
No, he didn't just say that. So that's
But
part of what he said.
But this is also the ending of the Gospel of Mark, chapter 16, right?
Yeah. So where
Uh,
I'm going to is this.
are you aware that that passage isn't original to the Gospel of Mark and was added in later?
Well, it does not just attach itself to Mark. What I'm trying to prove to you is that I understand that there was a part of Mark where some additions were kept in there, but you can agree with me that in Matthew, Luke, John, Mark, Jesus was conversant with some descriptions. He was casting out devils and healing the sick, right? Across the four gospels.
Yeah, that is the claim of the Gospels. I don't think they're
All right.
historically true, though.
Okay, so let me now come into that briefly. When I asked you when you were a Christian, did you have supernatural encounters? You said to me you had some psychological 2020 vision kind of thing like that. All right. So I would say to you, do you believe that the phenomenon of casting out spirits still happen till today? Or do you believe it's psychosis somehow?
It's psychosis followed by a placebo effect.
Okay. So what proof do you have that it's psychosis followed by a placebo effect?
Because there's nothing about it that would tell me it's supernatural, and all of the same symptoms are demonstrated from psychosis.
Okay, so if you say all of the symptoms are demonstrated from psychosis, how do you explain someone levitating during
They
an
don't.
exorcism?
They don't.
Okay, no, I will say maybe you should say I haven't seen that.
Could you provide us
Than you
some sort
saying
of
I
peer-reviewed
haven't.
evidence that demonstrates that demonically possessed individuals actually levitate off the ground?
Oh yes, because I will first use
What's the
the
DOI?
Yeah, what's the
What did you
DOI?
say?
What's the DOI number?
No, sorry, I'm not talking of what I'm saying
No,
is
then you don't have
I'm sharing.
evidence.
Hold on. I'm saying my experience.
Well, I don't care
That's what
about
I'm
your.
saying.
I don't care about your
Yeah,
experience. You could be
that's
lying to
not.
me. You could be misinterpreting or misremembering or whatever.
Okay, so what are you exactly looking for? Let me know so I can see if it's something we
Something
can discuss.
independently, something that I can independently verify as being true
When you say independently verify has been
through
true,
evidence.
could you
Peer-reviewed
what?
articles.
Yeah,
Reviewed articles?
yeah, peer
Is that
reviewed.
what
So
you say?
in science, there's this practice called peer review, where a panel, or more like a group of experts in the field, review a certain article. They give their advice back to an editorial team. The paper is revised in
Mm.
accordance to proper scientific methodological practices, and certain evidence is provided as well as data pools. So usually you submit your data to a repository. You also submit all of your methodology. That way, if your practices are repeatable and reliable, we can basically independently verify that what you're saying is true.
So
So we're looking for a DOI number.
okay,
You could give us a
hold on. I hear you.
study
I hear you.
title. You could give us a public medical
I
identification
hear you.
number.
I hear you. So let me comment. I understand what you mean. So let me comment briefly. So why are you using science as your key view
No,
into
no, the
religion?
scientific method. The scientific method is just a method of identifying information that is independently verifiably true. So we're just looking for something in accordance to the scientific method.
And the reason we use
Scientific
this,
methods.
and the reason we use the scientific method is because we don't want to be duped into believing things
Okay,
that aren't
hold on.
true.
Okay, I hear you. So now, if you say scientific method, are you talking from a place of hyperbole, or are you talking from a place of
Sure, just give us a
hold on,
DOI.
just
No,
hold on, hold
no,
on.
no hyperbole. I just want something that has been demonstrated to actually occur. Maybe something like where independent investigators who are not believers witness an exorcism independently, and they actually do witness a levitation. They document it in some way that we can independently verify and show that this
Okay,
isn't just a trick of some kind.
okay. So hold on. Are you now telling me that every scientist agree on one thing?
Nope, never made
So
that
we
claim.
don't have to. So here's the thing: we don't have to agree all on the same thing. We can provide our evidence, and we can provide our rational and logical reasoning as to why we align ourselves with certain opinions, which is literally what review articles are. But that being said, for example, I'm currently reading a study in the American Journal of Physiology, Endocrinology, and Metabolism because I'm trying to do some research on how to optimize a specific protocol.
I'm trying to do this protocol. And so in order to do this protocol, I need to know the methodology. So if you were to provide us with a DOI number for, let's say, some kind of STAR methods for identifying individuals experiencing these quote unquote supernatural ideations and they're floating,
Okay.
we
So
would
what
need
I
to
can
have
give you.
photos, we would need to have videos, we would need to
Hold
have
on.
documentable and
Hold on.
verifiable evidence that has been peer reviewed, understandably so we know it's not doctored. And so I don't think I'm asking for anything super crazy here. I could read out to you the methods that I'm currently reading to optimize my protocol. But
Well,
like what we're trying to get at here is what are the methods that are used to optimize your protocol for what you're claiming?
And
okay.
just
So let me ask you.
and
Hold on.
real quick, just a dovetail. To be clear, this is a bowl, and this is a hyper bowl. Just so we're clear. So,
I hear
anyways,
you. I hear you. So that was why I was asking the other time. But let me go back to what I was trying to say. So if you say this and you use this as a method or a standard, are you
It
saying to
is just
me?
a methodology. It's not an opinion. The opinions you derive from a
Yeah,
methodology are
Hold on. Let me
independent
explain myself. Let me
from the
explain myself.
actual
Just hold
method
on. Just
itself.
hold on. Just let me explain myself. Hold on, please. So I'm going to give you just one reason for why that may be flawed and why that is because, for instance, consciousness. No one can explain subjective experiences and emotions and free will.
no, incorrect. You can't explain subjective experiences. That doesn't mean no
What did
one
you say?
can. The
What did
correct,
you say?
what you should have said is you can't explain subjective experiences. Don't make
No,
silly,
science. No. Hold on. Hold on.
don't make silly
Science.
claims like
No.
science,
It's not silly
like
claims. Hello.
neurologists
Hold
can't
on.
explain. You can't overtalk me on my own live. No one can
Okay.
hear you
Explain.
talking
Explain
while I'm
subjective
talking.
experience.
Yeah, go
Explain
ahead,
it.
Snitch. Go ahead. You're the expert here.
No. I'm saying to you that
So
consciousness. Okay, go ahead. Just go
consciousness
ahead.
is just our interpretation of what we sense from our environment, and they're derived from basically our ability to fire off these things called action potentials. I've brought it up a few times on this live before, but it's the underlying mechanism by which our brain works and functions. And it's also the underlying method of how all of our sensory organs also function. Depolarization, which is basically just the shift of certain ions. One that you'll be colloquially familiar with is salt ions. So salt will flow in and out of a cell, basically transmitting a chemical signal all the way down the cell's body in order to transmit a signal from one cell to another cell. And that's how neurons or brain cells work and function. Now, there's special neurons in your thalamus and your cerebral cortex, which connect to one another. And without these connections and without the action potentials that flow through these cells and are transmitted throughout your brain, you don't have a consciousness. So unless you can provide me, and this is how you could actually falsify everything I'm saying, because again, like if you can't falsify something, then your argument is not really a good argument. So
Yeah.
here's how you can falsify what I am claiming right now, which is that consciousness is purely a result of biological interactions with your environment,
Okay.
as well as interactions with another individual, which also a part of your environment. So if you could provide me with a person who is entirely brain dead, somebody who has literally no activity or action potentials occurring in their brain, and they are fully conscious, aware, and making logically sound decisions, then you could provide me with evidence that consciousness has an additional layer on top of what is already required by the brain.
Okay,
Because this
so
individual is functionally conscious, they don't have action potentials occurring in their brain. However, unfortunately, you won't provide me this evidence because we actually have data suggesting the opposite. According to the AWARE study, individuals who experience
wait,
a
hold on.
near-death experience.
Hold on.
Now I'm giving you the evidence against the claim. So first, I provided you with the description of how to falsify my claim, as well as a brief explanation of it. Now I'm going to provide you with evidence for why I believe what I believe. The AWARE study put an object in a room with a person experiencing a near-death experience. None of them could identify what specifically that object was. And this goes to show that without those brain connections, i.e. the person going through the near-death experience, with those connections being actively severed,
They are unable, even though they think they're floating up in the room, they actually aren't. This is just a figment of their imagination, which is quite literally what we call imagining things.
Also, I will also note that when you asked the question about consciousness, that was indeed a. So, you can either provide us evidence that a brain dead person can, in fact, be conscious at the same time as being brain dead. And also, you still need to provide us some independent, verifiable evidence that people levitate in exorcisms.
All right. So let me get to it. So I hear what sorry, what's her name? So I just want to call her by her name. What's her name? The lady that spoke.
Snitch.
Snip. Okay. Snip? Snip was, what do you call it? Snip, right?
Snitch, like snitches get stitches.
Oh, okay, I get it. All right, that's an interesting name. Okay, so from what Snitch was saying, when you said an experiment was conducted to show that those who had
Yes,
NDs,
the AWARE study. So if you look up the AWARE study with AWARE in all caps, it's a very relatively famous study. Conducted on individuals experiencing near-death experiences. You could also conduct this similarly on individuals who claim to have experienced an out-of-body experience in anesthetized individuals. Obviously, we haven't conducted that study yet. However, I wouldn't be surprised if they find the exact same findings as they did with this near-death study, which basically found that they could not identify objects in the room because they were not indeed having a near-death they were having a near-death experience. They were not having an out-of-body experience in a physical sense. They were just imagining it, literally a figment of their imagination.
Okay, so I think this study you're talking about was, I think the one that was carried out by a woman. I think a bit of what I understand is that it was
It was
a
not
man.
carried out by a woman, by the way.
I think it was Sam, a guy called Sam or
It
something like
was,
that.
yeah, it was not carried out by a woman.
Yeah, I'm correcting myself. I said somebody called Sam. I think Sam something. I can't remember the full name. But this you are using to argue for what it is still under criticism because it was just a small number of, cases that he worked on.
But
And
this is
because
evidence against your claim, and as I said, you could provide me with evidence
that's
that
what I'm saying.
falsifies what I'm claiming by just providing me
Yes.
with a study that shows that individuals without brain activity are fully conscious and aware. And I will be waiting for you on that study.
So, like I was saying, even the study you brought up by this Sam was not fully or did not prove that there's no consciousness that survives death, which
Can you
includes those
please
that
provide
came.
me? So the small sample size is mainly due to the fact that people experiencing a near-death experience are very hard to come by, and it's also not something you have to volunteer yourself for this kind of experiment, and you have to be under very specific conditions. So it's very difficult to get participants for this kind of study and research. That being said, again, please provide me with evidence that shows the contrary, and also please do ridicule the methodology here because I'm pretty sure I believe they use a brain EEG evidence is actually pretty good evidence suggesting that their brain was not fully active.
So, so I may not be able to give you the scientific that you're talking about, but what I can say to you is this: that this same study, I remember that when I think I learned a bit about it, it was actually pointing to the fact that the complexity of consciousness during cardiac arrest, but it did not deny
No,
that
it was not. They were
No, that was what
unable
it was
to
really.
identify. They were unable to identify the markers that were in the room with them, which goes against the idea that consciousness is above or around the brain in a sense where there is an additional layer that contributes to consciousness aside from the brain. So again, unless you can provide me with an actual breakdown of the methodology, I don't really I have no reason to believe anything you're saying, and also you don't need to know the science to break down the methodology for being well conducted.
Okay, so are you trying to say to me that of all the cases that are online of NDs, because they are not attached to a research, they are not valid? Is that what you're saying?
I have no
They're
reason
not peer reviewed.
Yeah, I
The
have no
idea is that they're peer reviewed. So the study
Yeah.
I cited is peer reviewed, meaning that there were scientists that independently verified that this information was true. They looked through the data that they received for the electroencephalography, as well as the cerebral oxygenation rate and the monitored CPR rates during the hospital stay. And if you're actually looking at that data and you're corroborating it with other cohorts, you can verify that this data is accurate and real, and then you can further corroborate that this finding is likely real because the methodology was real.
Okay, so I think if we want to look at, I will use an experiment that was studied, an NDA experiment that was actually studied to refute what you're talking about.
What's the
And
name? What's the DOI number?
I don't know the DOI number you're talking
Then
about.
it's
I'm
not
just
a
saying to
study.
you, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying to you that someone studied it.
What's the name
and
of
it's,
this? What's the name of the study?
it's called the shoe. It's called the shoe on the ledge. That's what
The
it's called.
Shoe on the
On the ledge
Ledge
case.
study.
Shoe on the ledge case by Maria, and it was studied by Kimberly Sharp.
It's an anecdotal case study from 1977, often cited in near-death experiences.
Mm.
Involved a
Mhm.
patient named what is it, like, peer reviewed?
Yeah, so basically,
Yeah, no, this is not a case study. This is just a case story. So the issue with this is that it's not an actual peer-reviewed piece of evidence. So again, you can just provide me with peer-reviewed evidence, which, trust me, there's over
okay,
a
all right. So
million
maybe what
different
we're gonna
studies
do,
on PubMed. Feel free to go read for yourself and actually
that's
come
fine.
back with real
So
evidence.
that's fine. But let me back to what I was talking to the host about. When you use science, and I was talking, I think that was what brought about this case of having
Science is a
to.
methodology. It's not a belief system. So again, unless you
Well,
can
you
provide
are
me with
pinning me.
the
Hold on.
actual methodology
You
for
are.
this,
That's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
care.
If it's a methodology, you are pinning me to that science, and
Yes.
that's why I
No,
raised
no,
it.
we're pinning you to a method.
Yeah, we are, like, if I want to know if something is true, the way I'm going to find out whether or not that thing is true is through the scientific method, which again, you keep ignoring that. It's a method.
So okay, now
It's a
so let me
method.
ask
So
you.
it's a
So
method
let me ask you.
of
How do you use science to
observation.
explain Jesus?
Observation. Well, I don't know, because I don't think Jesus is a Messiah. I think he was a dead guy.
So if you are now, you're saying to me, use science to explain everything
So
you
to be
have
clear,
say.
are we pivoting away from the levitation claim?
No, we're not. The only thing that is absent here is that, according to Snitch, she's saying that we need to have a scientific
Yes.
study
Okay,
about
it's
it.
not just according to me. It's according.
I don't
No,
have. Hold on. I don't have.
Sir. It's not just according to me. It is a methodology that is widely accepted among all scientists because it is the method that we use to verify whether something is true. That is why we are asking you for the methods.
The scientific method is what you use if you're the kind of person who actually cares about what's true. And I am. So is Snitch. Which is why, if you want me to believe that something is true, there needs to be some sort of observation that is made, a hypothesis that is drawn up, experiments or testing to see whether or not the hypothesis is true. And then we're getting somewhere. And then you peer review it, have other people in the field fact check you. And then I will believe that people are levitating in exorcisms. But I'm not going to believe it just because you think you have a story to tell me.
Okay, that's fine. So I think what you should do, so that maybe anyone that comes to your live is probably able to, go with your methodology of explaining things, is attach it to your banner that, look, when you come to the live, maybe get this ready, have that ready. No, it's true, because I want to have a discussion with you.
I'm not going to waste
saying to me,
that. I don't have enough space on my panel to do that. No.
Well, maybe where you wrote the Bible guide,
when you run your own live, you can run it how you want.
No. I'm not
Wait a
arguing with you.
second. Wait. I just also wanted to clarify here that science is not something that needs to be a clarification. It's literally just trying to verify the truth. So if you're saying that you don't feel comfortable with your ooey wooey exorcism being filmed and documented in a formal setting, so that way we can actually verify that what you're saying is true, then I think there's more things to say about the fact you don't feel comfortable with verifying your quote-unquote
I
truth
didn't say that.
than there
I didn't
is
say
with
that.
our methodology of trying to verify that what you're saying is true.
No, I didn't
We're
say
just
that.
trying to confirm it. So we're saying, where's the evidence where somebody actually sat down, filmed it, documented it, took photos, XYZ, made sure
That's
that they
fine.
move their hands all over the body. Like,
That's
there's
fine.
ways that we could do it
That's
where
fine.
we're just verifying the truth.
100%.
There are tens of thousands of exorcism cases that are performed just by the Catholic Church every year. We could, if you want to, then you can go and get your film camera and you can go get a team together of actual scientists and go and do the research and see if this is actually occurring, if levitation is actually occurring.
Okay, that's fine. No worries. So let's leave the levitation thing because obviously we're just going around in circles with the science part of it. It's fine. I'll probably maybe when I come to your live next time we'll talk a bit more about that. But back to what I was actually saying to you that if you wanted to use science to gauge
It's
Jesus,
not just science, it is just evidence. That's
I,
all
I
we're
Snitch,
asking for is verifiable evidence.
Snitch, don't worry. I already understand your point. What I'm saying is wait, okay, let me not use the word science, I'll use the word evidence. If you want the evidence to be able to match up to what Jesus said that he will do or what Christians could do, and all of those things, okay, that's fine. So, but maybe I should just stick to the scientific part to be able to maybe explain a bit of what I came here to talk about earlier on. So, if you say Jesus, you don't believe in Jesus, the Bible actually talks about God creating the entire universe, and that's from the beginning.
Which we have
And
no
when
evidence of.
Okay, so
I'm not even
when
convinced there was a beginning to the universe.
well, energy is neither created nor destroyed. Anyway, do you
Yeah, that's
believe that
why.
there's something called energy?
Yeah, but also it's not necessarily true that it can't be created. I had Quantonaut, a friend of mine who's a PhD,
Mm.
a PhD candidate in the field of physics, and he would disagree with you on that.
Is it a part of the energy being created?
Say what?
Are you talking about the part of energy not being created nor destroyed? The first
Yeah,
law.
yeah, as it only
Okay,
applies to certain circumstances.
but the eternal energy itself, or when you track down into eternity backwards, of course, you have to know that something actually created where we are right now.
N-
This is what we'll call the Earth. Do you
The
believe in
Earth,
creation?
the Earth was formed through like a star undergoing nuclear fusion. The elements in
Mm,
it fusing together to form heavier elements. The star dying, expelling its innards, and then those
mm,
heavier elements coming together from gravity,
okay,
in an accretion disk from a star. It's
okay,
how our sun and all the planets in it were formed.
okay. So, what do you believe in? Do you believe that there was a starting point to creation, or
I
creation has always
I
been
don't
existing?
I don't believe in creation. I don't allow that term to be smuggled into the conversation. We don't get to call it a creation until we demonstrate that there's a creator.
Okay, so what would
Nature.
you okay, so do you believe that nature was existing by itself and it wasn't put together
Yeah, nature has always existed.
by itself?
Yeah, that's all that there is nature.
All right, so that means you definitely believe in the Big Bang theory from what
Yeah.
you said earlier.
Yeah, it's
All
been
right. So
demonstrated.
if you believe in
We can see the Big Bang happening right now.
okay, so if you believe in the Big Bang theory, I want you to kindly put me through how the Big Bang theory was able to differentiate a chicken from a goat.
That would be evolution that's responsible for the difference between a chicken and a goat.
No, so you've not still gotten my question. I'm saying to you, at
Evolution,
what
the Big
point?
Bang Theory, that was a nonsensical question. The Big Bang Theory is just the stating that at one point that the universe was very dense and then began to rapidly expand. Like whether or not
Yeah.
how we got chickens and goats is
hmm
through the process of evolution.
All right. At what point did Big Bang convert into evolution? That's my question. Maybe if you understand it that way, that's fine.
So
Also, sorry, I just wanted to correct him on a quick thing. A bird never became a goat. We shared a common ancestor with the earliest amniote, and mammals were given rise from one of the split species from the earliest amniote, from synapsids, whereas birds derived from sauropsids. So you had the earliest amniote, then you had synapsids and sauropsids. Birds are derived from sauropsids, not synapsids, and mammals are
Okay.
derived from synapsids. So
All
a
right.
goat would be derived from a synapsid, not
Okay.
a bird.
Okay, that's fine. So my question still remains from your explanation, at what point did energy or did whatever started the creation
I don't think
decided
that's the
to
part
differentiate?
that's the part you don't understand. First and foremost, you keep calling it creation. We don't get to call it that until you demonstrate a creator.
Okay, nature.
And also, I don't think that the nature started. I think nature has always existed.
All right. Okay, so we are both on the same page. You said nature has always existed. Okay, I'll go with your flow. That's fine. Nature has always existed, right? So from what Snitch said, she mentioned synapses, she mentioned amutes. At what point did that particular part of nature, at what point did it begin?
Millions upon millions of years ago. And before the earliest amniote, you had, I believe it was some kind of amphibious type fish-like species. Then you had like the first four-legged tetrapod. Then you had, before that, you had, I believe it was the lungfish, and then the first vertebrate. And then before that, you would have had single-celled eukaryotic organisms with organelle-bound structures inside of their cells, which would have formed multicellularity. And then for specific sources for that one, there is de novo evolution of macroscopic multicellularity. We've actually observed this occur in single-celled organisms. This is a study published in the Nature Journal. All of the methodology is free to read, so if you are actually willing to look at real methods for collecting actual evidence, feel free to go read that.
All right, so that's fine. So my question still to you, let me probably leave the host. Maybe I should focus on you now because you seem to give a lot of definitions. So at what point did the intelligence occur to make these things what they are?
Wait, can you repeat that question?
So my question is this. Okay, let me narrow it down so it doesn't look like maybe I'm modeling it up. So you understand me more clearly.
There isn't an
The fish.
intelligence that's responsible for the the
Okay,
differentiation
so is a
between
fish
species.
okay, let me ask you.
Wait,
Is
are
a
you
fish-
looking for, are you trying to understand when the first brains evolved? Because the first organisms with the first brains were early worm-like marine bilaterians, which were animals with front-to-back symmetry, very similar to us. We also have front-to-back symmetry. Well, not really front-to-back symmetry, but we have vague symmetry. More
Okay.
so like, what could I think of? Nematodes are a better example of that. But they lived roughly 540 to 600 million years ago. And they were the first creatures to have evolved a centralized nervous system.
Okay, so if I'm to use what you said, are you trying to say that they evolved at some point in nature? They started evolving in nature at some point.
Abiogenesis is the beginning of evolution.
Oh, he's looking at abiogenesis. Okay, so we actually have studies on that as well. So we've not only generated our first synthetic organisms, JCVI SYN 3A and JCVI, I believe the first one was A, which was one of the first synthetic organisms that humans were able to generate, but we've also generated protocells by spontaneous reactions of cysteine short-chain thioesters, as well as demonstrated that these protocells can chemiosmotically generate energy in the same ways that our cells do. We also have a few other different models of these protocells self-growing.
Okay.
So this is the evidence for how non-life formed life, and that is the theory of abiogenesis, not the theory of evolution.
So,
Although they're
okay.
related in the same way
Okay.
that abiogenesis leads into evolution, because after you have life, you have evolving life. They are technically separate theories.
So but the host was saying that he doesn't believe that anything per se creation. He doesn't want us to use the word creation, and he just wants us to
Yeah,
stick
it wasn't
with
created.
nature. So at what point did abiogenesis kick off?
3.5 billion years ago on this planet.
So it has a time, obviously, because you said you don't believe that things were created or probably they came
Yes,
about at some
it
point.
wasn't created. It was formed by biochemically favorable reactions with a negative delta G with a sufficient mass action ratio to favor the formation of macromolecules like proteins, nucleotides, or specifically DNA from nucleotides, as well as RNA strands, peptidyl RNA, and cofactors. So,
I think I see the
So
confusion here.
so the idea that abiogenesis, what you're describing right now, started 3.5 billion years ago, is still buttressing my point. And my point to you at the
it
beginning
wasn't created.
was no. You said it wasn't created. Okay, fine. Let's
The
stick with it
word-
wasn't
the-
created.
The word created implies a creator. We're avoiding that terminology because you've yet to demonstrate a creator. The word we're using here is formed.
Don't worry, I'll go with your point. Don't worry, I'm not going to go with creation. Let me go with nature. I'm fine. But my question to you is, you said to me that it's not an intelligent thing, because I said to you, are fishes and goats
Yes, it's not.
It's not an intelligent thing. Okay, so if it's not an intelligent
The
thing, what are
process
they?
is not intelligence. It's just based
Okay.
off of random mutations. So approximately one addition. So
out of every 10 to the 9 to 10 to the 10th additions of nucleic acids to a synthesizing genome, and specifically E. coli, which is just one very well-studied organism, one mistake is made. This mistake rate is going to be like exponential in an organism with multiple cells, all of them having this error rate of around 10 to the 9 to 10 to the 10th. Every 10 to the 9 to 10 to the 10th additions, you get like one mistake in the genome. And as a result, you get these things called mutations, which can change the structure and function of various proteins. And it can also change the structure and function of the actual organism. So you have these genes called homeobox genes, which basically organize the body plan for a developing organism. And by mutating homeobox genes, you get very different organisms with, instead of like 4 legs, you get 6 legs. And this is actually one of the hypotheses for why the Cambrian explosion occurred.
All right, so
Can I clear something up here, King? Look, I think there was something said, and I think there's a reason there's some confusion here. When the Bible guy said that nature didn't have a beginning, I think you interpreted that as in like living, like carbon-based life forms didn't have a beginning. I think when we say nature didn't have a beginning, what we're talking about is the natural world, which includes non-living things, right?
Like everything is nature, like the stars, the galaxies, like the atoms, the very base atoms, the atoms,
like the universe
and
itself.
the subatomic. Yeah, the universe itself doesn't have a beginning. Our planet has a beginning. Life on this planet has a beginning, but like the thing, like nature itself, as in like the physical, like substrate of reality, doesn't have a beginning.
All right. Okay, I like that. I like your explanation. So now you've been able to let me understand that yes, you can. We both agree that there's what we refer to as non-living things, and there's what we refer to as the living things. So I want you to definitely explain. And I know she said some things, but still, I would disagree when you begin to say to me that non-living things just mutated somehow to living things. And
That's not what I said.
Why are we?
No,
Here.
Wait.
King Emmanuel, give me a reason why I should be a Christian other than the fact that you don't understand jack shit about science.
No. It's not that. What I'm trying to say to you is, at some point, you will have to agree with me that the Christian variation of creation
is bullshit.
Makes more sense.
It doesn't.
No.
Magic.
No, you know why it makes more sense? Because you and I.
Magic will never make more sense than natural
No, it's not
phenomenon.
magic.
It is.
No, it's not magic.
You
You just said on this panel, you said to me,
you had
that
a
you don't
god.
believe.
You had a god that created the universe in 6 days, had plants existing before the sun, and made a man out of dirt, and then a woman out of that man's rib.
I hear you.
Using
I hear
magic, that will never make more sense than the natural. Listen, I don't think you are, because you don't hear me if you're talking. So will never make more sense than the naturalistic explanations that we have for every particular thing in the universe so far.
Okay, so make it make sense. How can non-living things birth living things? Is that even sensible to you?
I'm not teaching you any more science. You need to give me a positive reason why I should be a Christian that isn't like, I don't agree, I don't understand science. Explain it to me. No, you need to give me a positive reason to believe that Christianity is true.
So already you say to me, oh, your God did magic. Your God did magic.
Yeah.
Do you even believe that there is anything called magic?
No, I think that gods and magic are fake.
So how come you use the term magic when you don't even believe in magic?
Because if I say Harry Potter does magic, do I need to believe that magic exists to say that Harry Potter does magic?
No. If you use the word that God used magic to create man,
do I need to believe that magic exists to say that God uses magic in the book of Genesis?
No. You don't need to believe it. You don't need to believe it. But when you say God used magic,
then that was a stupid question to ask me. God uses magic in the book of Genesis to create people and animals and the world.
He used magic to create people and the animals and the world. But you and I can conveniently be on the panel and argue about how non-living things resulted to living things.
I give you evidence for that. So like you can't, if you don't understand the evidence, that's not on me. That's on you for not being able to comprehend what I'm telling you. When I told you exactly how current science agrees upon like how life likely started. And yes, the actual specifics, because we were not there, are unknown, but we have really well supported hypotheses based on observable evidence that we've tested repeatedly over and over and over again, demonstrating that they're reliable. Just because
Okay.
you are not able to comprehend it with
No.
whatever brain you
Give me
have,
one
that's
example.
not my fault.
Give me one example.
We've given you.
of non.
We've spent 37 fucking minutes teaching you science, and you just saying, "Well, I don't understand." I need
No,
you.
you give me
I
an
need
example.
you. No,
Give me an
I
example.
no. The time for
Of
us giving you
non-living things giving birth to
the
living
time
things.
no. The time for us giving you examples is over. Now it's your turn.
You don't have any.
Prove that the Bible is true.
No,
The
you-
non-living
you-
materials used to make the non-living materials used to make JCVI Syn3A, the synthetic organism that humans made using biochemically favorable reactions that we've studied for years upon years. Again, we've already done it. You still haven't yet to actually explain or critically analyze any of the evidence I gave you. And when you were given the opportunity to speak on these reasons, you said that I said some things. You don't understand anything of what I'm talking about because you actually haven't read any of it. I have a document with over 50 resources you could read for free.
And we're not teaching you any more science. It's your turn now to provide some evidence for the bullshit you believe in.
All right. So this quote, your quote, bullshit, not bullshit to me, is if I'm saying to you that the Bible, this is what God said, you don't even believe in the text. So how do you expect a Christian to
You
come
need
up
to
and explain
you
the
need
text
to
you don't
give
believe
you
in?
need to give me a reason to believe in the text.
When you have a biased mind against the text, how will I give you a
I'm
reason
not biased
for your
against
bias?
I'm not biased against the text. I'm biased against things that don't have evidence. If you provide evidence, I won't be
Things that don't have evidence.
Yeah. So provide me evidence to believe that the Bible is true.
So what kind of evidence are you looking for? Spiritual or physical?
Anything that raises there's no such thing as spiritual evidence.
The Bible itself is actually appealing to spiritual nature of
That would be
things.
question begging, King.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I'm
You
asking you
understand
to,
that-
I'm asking you to provide evidence of spiritual things, and you're making the claim that that it provides spiritual evidence, but I don't think spiritual evidence exists unless you provide evidence that spiritual things exist.
So what is the term spirit? Let's start from there.
It's
What's a
a-
spirit?
I've never been given a coherent definition. Everyone disagrees.
All right. So a spirit, at least where everybody in this panel can agree, are on a realm of beings that cannot be seen with the physical eyes or touched with the
Okay.
physical hands.
Prove that they exist.
That's the point.
You can't.
You are asking me to prove. No, hold on. You are asking, and this is not just for me, but for anyone that comes on your panel, because if you're asking a person to prove spiritual things to you using the physical,
Yes or no, can you provide me evidence that spirits exist? All I want is a yes or no, nothing else.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
I didn't even know you muted me.
I'll-
Did you
I'll-
mute me?
I'll-
I didn't know.
I did mute you. Now, all I want to hear is a yes or no. Can you provide me evidence that spirits exist? Yes or no, nothing else, not another word out of your mouth other than yes or no.
Yes, you are a spirit yourself. You
Prove
believe
it.
that?
Prove it.
Because you are 3 in 1.
No, I'm not.
So what are you?
I have 2 eyeballs. I have a nose. I have a mouth. That's 3 things. I have ears. I have fingers. I have fingernails. I am made up of literally billions of things. They're called atoms.
All right. Okay. So what happens in your dream? Who is the you in your dream?
Action potentials.
The me in my dream is the guy who's like getting absolutely railed by a dumb woman. That's what's happening in my dreams. Now what?
I don't understand that. Could you bring that?
King, all you've
Action
done
potentials.
all you've done for the last 30 minutes is ask questions and burden shift. We're asking
No,
you
no, no.
for
Because-
justifications.
No, I'm using my questions to bring up my point.
What the host is asking you is to provide. Okay, good. That
I
was
got
really
rid
annoying.
I got rid of him. He doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't know how to provide positive evidence for his beliefs because he doesn't have them. All he has is questions about things he doesn't understand. And I'm not going to let that be our problem anymore. All right. Fuck me, said Dream Dalton. At Surfectant with the 99 cents. Thank you for your donation. And at Babs Barrett again with the £2. Don't trust atoms. They make up everything. All right. We're gonna bring up Dippler. Dippler, I'm gonna ask you 3 preliminary questions, and then
It's a mistake. I'm not supposed to, I pushed the wrong button, so
Oh, you're good. I got
I
you.
agree with everything. So yeah, just it's a butt dial.
Yeah, I got you. Shane Morris, I'm gonna ask you 3 questions, and then we'll get to the conversation.
Sure.
Just so you know, I don't allow my audience members to turn their cameras on unless I know them personally. I've had too many bad experiences. So, question number 1: are you at least 18 years old?
Of course.
Question number 2: what pronouns do you go by?
He, him. Also, y'all.
And and question number 3: are you a Christian?
No.
Oh, okay. Shane, what brings you up?
I wanted to explain to you why you should be a Christian.
But you're not a Christian.
Right, but I'm going to provide you some really good guidance on why you should be.
All right, let's hear it.
So let's say you're kind of going through life and you're struggling with a lot of stuff, socially, emotionally, your relationships, friendships, whatever it is.
Go to therapy.
I think that Jesus is a good imaginary friend for you to bounce your ideas off of.
I can bounce my ideas off of ChatGPT though.
But imagine you didn't have ChatGPT like a couple years ago.
I would go to a therapist.
What if you just like pretend the ideas in your head were good?
Nah.
What if you're like a really big bigot?
Well, then you should like go to therapy and work through your problems.
But what if you're a bigot that needs an imaginary friend to reinforce the bigotry?
Well, I'm not. So
I don't think this is going well. Like, okay, well, we'll back up. Okay. What if you didn't like women or gay people? How would your imaginary friend reinforce?
I like all those people.
But why? So why would you become a Christian other than needing to not like people who are different than you?
But I do like people that are different from me, so I don't need to be
This
a Christian.
doesn't make any sense. Okay, well, we'll back this up again.
You're not making any sense, Shane. The question asked on the screen is
Wait,
why should the host become a Christian? Seems like you're providing reasons to not
Oh
become
no,
a
I'm an
Christian.
atheist. I like gay people, and I like women and all that.
To be clear, I'm also an atheist. I'm not a Christian.
No, exactly. I'm trying to help you push to the other side. I want to make sure you're a bigot too. I'm pushing you the other way.
Anyways, I'm gonna talk to Goob. Goob, are you at least 18?
Yes,
Question number 2, what pronouns do you go by?
she, her.
And question number 3, are you a Christian?
No.
All right, what brings you up to the panel?
I'm just really curious in like Christian perspectives on like Jesus dying for sins. I've really struggled to understand that, and I was just like hoping to understand from that perspective, but I'm down to save that for another time if you want like debates.
Well, I have no other debates in the panel right now, so here, be a bit more specific. You're wanting to understand the Christian theology on Jesus's death and how that provides atonement?
Yeah, I it doesn't come intuitively to me, and I'm curious about like the logic, like how does that work?
Well, there isn't really any logic to it, but the Christian theology says that human beings are sinners. We sin, and sin creates this infinite gap between human beings and God, and it's a gap so big that no human being could ever fill the gap. So you need like the only person who can fill the infinite gap is the infinite God himself. So the infinite God comes down into human flesh as Jesus Christ. He offers himself up as a sin offering, taking all of our sins upon himself because he's infinite as a person and thus can take on infinite sins. And then he dies and he resurrects from the dead, thus conquering death. And thus anyone who believes in him can participate in the life that he has. And thus thus you are forgiven of sin and can receive eternal life. Look at that, guys. I still got it.
I guess like I just don't I don't understand how would that make people no longer responsible for their own sins?
Depends on the Christian denomination. Some Christian denominations teach that Christians are incapable of sinning. So whenever they do sin, they don't think it's really sin and they don't have any responsibility for it. Other Christian sects like Catholicism teach that you are still responsible for your sins and you need to do right. And if you do sin, you need to go to confession and repent of your sins.
That makes sense. In those cases, though, like if you're still responsible for your sins, what does Jesus' death mean?
It basically it's like a Jesus's death is like this like rag that's infinitely usable to like wipe away stains, basically. The idea in Christianity is that you can't wipe away the stain of your sin without the rag.
Oh, okay.
Without the
I
cum
see.
rag that is Jesus.
So do they think that before Jesus' time there were other ways to absolve of sin, or that there was no way before Jesus was born?
Before Jesus, they would say that God gave the Israelites a system of a temple with many priests and many sacrifices that would be offered. But the problem with the sacrifices in the Christian mindset is that they weren't potent enough and thus couldn't actually do away with sin. They were, and in such a way, they were merely symbolic of the future sacrifice that would come.
That's fascinating.
It is a very interesting mythology for sure. Anything else?
I think that's it for me. Thank you.
If anyone talks to you about Christians' atonement theories and stuff like that, tell them that if God is truly omnipotent and all powerful, then he should be able to just forgive people without blood. It's not necessary. Yeah, bring that up to them. But anyways, thank you for coming, Goob.
Thank you.
Nielsen Smock. I'm going to ask you 3 questions and then we'll get to the conversation. Are you at least 18 years old?
Okay.
Are you, what was that?
Yes.
Are you at
I
least
said
18?
okay. I'm re- 27.
All right. And
I'm not talking to. I'm
and,
27.
and what pronouns do you go by?
He, him.
All right. And are you a Christian?
No.
All right. Well, what brings you up to the panel?
I wanted to ask a question. I came out as bisexual a year ago. I think a year ago I came out as bi.
Nice.
Excuse my English. I'm not American. My English is terrible. But
You're fine. I can understand you.
okay, so I came out as bi to my family, mostly the people around me. I came out as bi. So when I came out as bi, I promoted my boyfriend, and my cousin told me something like, called me, and he's a Christian, so he told me that he was talking to me about hell and Christianity. That I just need to I need to pray. I need to pray to God and look for a church to go to for God to help me get rid of the demon that is the demon that is inside me. So I told him that if 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 there's a demon inside me, is it not God that put it inside of me? Because if I have a demon inside of me, is God controls the world, and if God controls the world, He can do anything. And if
He wanted you to
God
be
made
bi.
me,
So if it's true that God is sovereign and nothing happens outside of His will, then it was God's will that you should be bi, and your cousin can suck it.
and me and him were talking. I think we fought because of what he said. I I told him that I told him that if I go to hell, I'll probably have sex with the devil. I said something stupid like that to him, and he got pissed off at me. And he said, I need to find a church to go to where I'm at because I live in Paris, so he lives in the Netherlands. So I was talking to him, blah, blah, blah. He told me that I need to change, I need to find a way.
I
When
would
I come to
I would tell your cousin that, and this is what I would do if I was in your position. I would tell your cousin that I'm fine just the way I am. I don't need your God. I don't need your church. And you can either respect that or you don't get to talk to me anymore. That's what I would say to him.
Yeah, but you know, I don't have a lot of people um where I met here. I don't have a lot of friends because I just started working and I just started having a life here. So I'm an immigrant in France, so I don't have a lot of people. But yeah, I have my boyfriend, but right now we don't live close to each other. He lives in an entire another city.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like me and my cousin we used to call each other all the time. When I was living in the same country as him, and this one I think is so hypocritical. I'm not a bad looking guy. When I was in Suriname, when I went to my country, me and him we used to go see a lot of women together. It's not like he was having one. He had one girlfriend. He was he was being with a lot of women, but he said he's Christian, and all the time he was with another girl, another girl. Me too. It's not like I'm better than him, or anything, but you're with
I
other
mean,
girls.
in reality, there's nothing wrong with you being with a lot of girls, but he's being a hypocrite because he's allegedly a Christian. But like, there's no
Yes,
shame in having many partners. It's fine.
so it's like that. So I think he's being a hypocrite, but it's it's hard to understand why people think like this because uh, every me and him were really close. It's not like I hate him. I still like him. I still like him. He's a likable guy. He's a smart guy, but it's just his beliefs that
As long as he's not bothering you, but like if it gets to the point where the relationship is strained because this individual won't stop berating you about the way that you choose to live your life and who you love, that kind of there isn't any reason to have that sort of unnecessary heartache in your life.
okay, okay.
Just watch out for yourself first and foremost and your well-being.
Mm, mm,
But
okay.
hey Nielsen, thank you for calling in. And what's au revoir?
Au revoir, au revoir, au revoir.
I feel like I'm learning French pretty soon. I just like the way it sounds. It's sexy as fuck. Toi et moi pour toujours, mon cœur. Je t'aime avec la dieu des mille soleils. Love it.
Hey Dalton, how you doing?
Hey bud.
I was thinking you should learn Louisiana Creole. That's a neat language. Not many people speak it anymore.
Well, is it gonna be as sexy as French?
I think it is. I've heard people speak. I think it sounds really cool.
I'm learning French exclusively for the sex appeal of it. Yeah. But anyways, oh god. All right. Well, I guess I'll bring this person up for a moment and before we do our restart. Home Slice. Home Slice, what the fuck do you want?
Damn, it really was an accident. I'm just moving into a new
good.
place, so
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, good. Goodbye.
All right. In that case, we're gonna do a quick restart because we've been live for an hour. And you three are more than welcome to return.
Yay.
I'm feeling a little bit better, but I get sick of French. No. French is so sexy.
Do it, Preto Moje.
That I don't know what that means.
Are you ready to eat? Because I
Oh,
sure am.
there you go. Hell yeah. I think the first thing I ever learned in French was voulez-vous coucher à moi ce soir, which
I don't know
means
that one.
which would you like to come to bed with me? I learned that in high school.
Oh hell yeah, that's a great one to learn.
Yeah. And then there's Parti monsieur, est-ce que vous comprenez l'anglais? Excuse me, sir, do you understand English?
I had a teacher once. He was from Britain, and he had a really cool accent. And I asked him once. I was like, "How do you get how would you get a girlfriend?" And he said, because I was a kid at that time. Like I think I was like 10, and he's like, "Well, it helps to have an accent."
Yeah, I mean, I already do painting and stuff. So if I just paint and I learn French, I'm set. I can get a black and white striped shirt and a black beret and go to France and paint shit, I guess.
And get a baguette. You gotta have a baguette.
And a baguette, yeah, a baguette I keep in my back pocket. We had a guest who was up here for a second, but then they disappeared. So everyone, make sure you're tapping that screen. Share the live with those you love, with those you hate, with your friends and with your enemies. Let's get the word out there and have some interesting conversations.
Let me do a repost. Let me post it in the Heresy channel. There you go. You're in the Heresy Council too, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Nice.
I get invited to a lot of group chat. It's hard for me to really keep track of them all.
I know how you feel.
Je m'appelle Salut, Comet, Pancake, and Sausage Christianity is false. Déplaît. I spent 3 years doing pretty much that. Oh, that sounds like fun, Cake. Spirituality, I can prove Jesus is the offspring of Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Well, they lived about 40 years before he was born, so that'd be very... And Cleopatra died like 30 years before he was born, so that'd be very difficult.
Wasn't she poisoned?
That's one of the theories, I think. I'm not quite sure. The other theory is that Amunet, the founder of the Hidden Ones, killed her, but that's just from Assassin's Creed Origins. When you die and stand before Jesus, none of these would help you all. Well, good thing Jesus is fucking dead and there's no afterlife.
I noticed that King Emmanuel's too scared to come up here.
Oh, we already talked to him today.
Oh, did you?
We spent almost 40 minutes explaining science to him and him not giving us any evidence for the bullshit he was spouting off.
What do you expect, Dalton? You expect these people to actually provide evidence, logic, and reasoning? No, of course not.
You know what they say? Science will fly you to the moon. Religion will fly you into buildings.
Yeah.
Spirituality, I can prove Jesus was the first man on the moon.
I was the first man on the moon spiritually. Spiritually, I was the first man on the moon. Very cold up there. I wouldn't recommend going without a suit.
King thinks people levitate. Yeah, he does, with no good reason. Ooh, yeah. Can you explain the physical inability for me to dream due to brain function? That's a question for King Emmanuel.
You know, maybe King Emmanuel was watching Invincible and he sees the Viltrumites and they can literally levitate off the ground and fly. Maybe he's conflating that with real life or something, maybe.
Maybe. He says, Psalm 14 verse 1, the fool hath said in his heart there is no God. Let me finish the quote for you. The fool has said in his heart there is no God, but the wise one says it out loud. Bible believer back live. That's not me. I'm not a Bible believer. Why did God kill everyone during Noah's Ark plotting? Because they were excessively evil, according to the Genesis.
According to Enoch, it was because of the Nephilim, but Enoch's later.
Yeah. I heard Viltrumite, y'all watching Invincible Season 4. I think I still need to watch Invincible Season 3.
I have seen Season 4 was awesome. You'll like it, Dalton.
I need to restart Game of Thrones. I left off at the Red Wedding years ago and stopped watching for some reason.
Yeah, you knew something was going to go down when they started playing the Reigns of Castamere.
What was that, Snitch?
It goes a little downhill in the last season, but oh my
I
god, I
heard.
love Game of Thrones. I'm still reading all of the books. It's my favorite series.
I was genuinely shocked when I was it's the first time I watched it. I was genuinely shocked when Ned Stark was offed in the first season. I was like, can they do that? The main character's dead. That was crazy. King Ming says one day the Bible guy Jesus will come back to you. Nah, because he's dead. Game of Thrones. We got here Isaac with a smiley face. Isaac, I'm going to ask you 3 questions and then we'll get to the conversation. Are you at least 18 years old?
Yeah.
Question number 2, what pronouns do you go by?
He, him.
And question number 3, are you a Christian?
Yeah.
All right, I'm Dalton the Bible guy. Why should I be a Christian?
Because Jesus is reliable.
How?
That we have external evidence and internal evidence to prove his existence, and then the claims of the crucifixion and resurrection.
Well,
those aren't.
I definitely believe Jesus existed and he was crucified. I don't believe he was resurrected. And I certainly don't think he was the Messiah because he didn't fulfill any prophecies from the Hebrew Bible.
Any?
Any, not even one.
Any. Could you show me some examples of like common ones that Christians will use, and then why you would reject it, why he doesn't fulfill it?
Isaiah 7:14. In a Christian Bible, it says, "Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and she will call his name Emmanuel." But it doesn't actually say that in the original Hebrew. It describes the young woman who is pregnant, not a virgin who will become pregnant, and thus isn't about Jesus because it's about a woman who existed 700 years before Jesus was born. But do you have...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that would be a typological fulfillment. That verse is used with Matthew.
I don't believe in typology. Typology is post hoc rationalization of a text using pattern recognition. I have a whole video on this topic on my YouTube channel, debunking typology. Especially since we know that the authors of the New Testament are more than willing to just make stuff up about Jesus in order to like make Jesus fulfill some typology.
Yeah, so Matthew, that we get this context or this verse from, using it to explain it being a fulfilled prophecy, is from Matthew. So it wasn't people didn't understand that as a prophetic thing, but Matthew uses that. So yeah, you're saying it's post hoc?
Yeah, there's like, I have no reason from the text to think that this is supposed to be about the Messiah. It's just that the author of the Gospel of Matthew believes that Jesus was born of a virgin for whatever reason, and then he sees this passage in Isaiah which has a Parthenos, which he mistakes to be a virgin, even though in classical Greek Parthenos can refer to either a virgin or a non-virgin. And then also the Septuagint changes the description of the Parthenos as being is pregnant to being shall become pregnant, and so he misreads this as a prophecy about a virgin birth.
Yeah, there's different. We could talk all day about that one, so I guess I'll just leave it. So basically, is what my argument is saying, that I would use an epistemic argument, because I heard you guys talking earlier about you needed scientific evidence, but I think I wasn't here for the whole thing. But sorry, you're about to say something.
Is this going to be a philosophy thing?
Not necessarily. It's just that I believe that the epistemic evidence that we have for the crucifixion, we can trust what's in the Bible, that it makes it reliable. It's the best explanation to what we have.
The Bible can't even agree as to what day Jesus was crucified.
Bruh. That's a whole nother thing we could go over, but
yeah, let's go over it. Was Jesus crucified on the Passover or on the day before Passover?
Day.
So not according to the Gospel of John, though. The Gospel of John places Jesus' birth, his crucifixion, on the preparation day of the Passover. John 19 verse 14.
So I'm sure you know what my contention is going to be. So why is your explanation better, though?
What's your contention?
That John isn't talking about the day before. That the language that is used in the Greek, we can understand that it was the week of. That's what it was referring to.
Dalton speaks Greek.
The Greeks just simply says it's the preparation day for the Passover, and
preparation day, yeah, which could have been Friday.
It's the 14th of Nisan, which in the Gospel of John would be Thursday. Would be on the Gospel of John, the preparation day for Passover takes place on a Friday, while in the Synoptic Gospels, the preparation day for Passover takes place on a Thursday.
Hmm. Yeah, we could talk all day about it, but
Are we?
I wanted to get into like the real argument.
I think it is a real argument. The Gospels can't agree on when Jesus was crucified,
So
either the
if
day or the time of day.
So if I can prove to you, right, that about these contentions, are you going to grant, like, if I can prove every single contention that we get by, and then I make it make more sense to you, are we going to get anywhere? Like, would you still take the Bible as reliable?
You'd be the first. If you got rid of all the contradictions in the Bible, then there wouldn't be any contradictions in the Bible.
Well, I don't think there's any contradictions in the Bible.
Well, you're just demonstrably wrong then.
Yeah, but you'd
Well,
be the
it's just
first.
a matter of
I've spoken
it's just
to
a matter of how you guys view
I've spoken to hundreds of Christians. You'd be the first one to do this. So, what do we
Isaac,
do?
what do you think? I'm sorry, good.
So, what was the Last Supper supposed to be, Isaac?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Last Supper specifically, Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's signifying the new covenant.
No. What was it in the culture that they were participating in?
Sorry, you're lagging a little bit.
What was
the culture? It's just a feast for the Passover.
Okay. So the 14th of Nisan is the day that you prepare for Passover, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to the temple, you sacrifice the lamb in the afternoon, you bring the lamb home, and that evening you eat the Passover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the Gospel of John, have they eaten the Passover meal yet when Jesus is before Pontius Pilate in trial?
Yeah.
They haven't. What the Pharisees don't want to go into Herod's property in the Gospel of John, and the text gives you a reason why they don't want to do that. What does it say?
Sorry, what did you say?
In the Gospel of John, it tells us that the Pharisees don't want to go onto Herod's property, and they give you a reason why that's so. Do you remember?
No.
It's so that they could eat the Passover meal later that night. They didn't want to be rendered unclean for the Passover. So the Passover hasn't already been eaten yet in the Gospel of John.
Okay.
So one gospel has Jesus celebrating Passover. John says, though, that Passover hasn't occurred yet when Jesus is at trial.
Okay.
So how do you fix this?
It's just because I'm trying to remember the three other gospels and the timing of them as well. So it's like I'm trying to answer your contention, but you have to understand that there's the synoptic and then there's John's theological difference in how they're written. And
yep.
I don't know I'm just trying to understand like what your knowledge is on those things as well.
I'm very knowledgeable on this. So like the synoptic gospels place Jesus's crucifixion after the Passover celebration has occurred. The Gospel of John places his trial and crucifixion before the Passover meal is being celebrated.
Called a contradiction.
And like we also understand the theological motivation of the authors, right? If that's what you were trying to allude to. Like we can recognize why John would have wanted to paint Jesus as the Passover lamb. Whereas the synoptic gospels were not concerned with this type of theological kind of insertion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's multiple ways I can go about it, but
okay,
I just don't
do that.
It would just be using the Passover language broadly, like I mentioned before.
I'm familiar with Passover. I used to practice Judaism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Do you speak Greek?
No. I just
Dalton
read it
speaks
before.
Greek though.
Huh?
Dalton speaks Greek.
Cool. That's awesome.
So are we
really add much?
I feel like you're not really interacting.
Yeah, I'm just kind of listening because it's like that wasn't like my crux of the argument. of
But
what I
like,
was trying to get to.
if the Gospels can't even agree as to what day and what time, because they give 2 different times. Also, Mark places that at 9 in the morning when Jesus is crucified, and John says that it's in the afternoon that he's still before Pontius Pilate in court. So like, if they can't agree, someone's making something up here.
No, I disagree. Like I just mentioned, my contention would just be using the Passover language broadly.
That's not a thing. The text is very specific. John says that this occurred on the preparation day of the Passover.
Yes, Jesus did eat the Passover meal with his disciples,
not
but
in the-
John is still
Not in the
he's
Gospel
still
of John.
using that language.
Not in the Gospel of John, he didn't, because the Gospel of John tells us that the Passover hasn't yet occurred when Jesus is being crucified.
Mm-hmm.
John 18:28 tells us that they themselves did not enter the governor's headquarters so that they would not be defiled, but could eat the Passover. Meaning that when Jesus was before Pontius Pilate at trial, on his way to be crucified, Passover hasn't occurred yet.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, Jesus is eating the Passover. How is Jesus both before Pontius Pilate, before Passover, but also eating the Passover
I hear
later
you,
that
brother.
evening?
I actually gotta take off. I'm sorry. Like I'll be right back in like 5 minutes probably.
All right.
Just gotta do some work. Be right back.
We're gonna hold you to it.
Oh, that was rough. Anyways,
Hashtag cooked.
all right. Anyways, how many people died around Passover? What do you mean? Like just generally, like people who died, or people who died from being executed? Either way, we don't. Oh, you scared the shit out of me. Either way, we don't know.
Doggy. Also, Dalton, I got a question.
Yeah.
It's about Isaiah 8. So my friend brought this to my attention. I mean, I had already been thinking. I had already noticed it, but he brought something interesting up. It said in Isaiah 8, it says that the prophets. It says he says, I went to the prophetess and she conceived and bore a son. So was the child already conceived in Isaiah 8, or is that chronology before Isaiah 7?
I don't think that Emmanuel and Mahershala Hashbaz are the same kid.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Isaiah has 3 sons. He has
that's right.
Shear-Yashuv, Emmanuel, and Mahershala Hashbaz.
Right.
What are you
That makes
huffing?
sense too.
What are you huffing for? Are you happy?
I don't know how I forgot about that.
What made you leave Judaism? I applied the same skepticism to the Hebrew Bible as I did to the New Testament. I don't think Yahweh means to literally name them those names. I disagree. I have no reason to think that. I mean, it's like Hosea's kids. Hosea had 2 kids. Their names were Lo Ami and Lo Ruchama. And then their names get changed to Ami and Ruchama later in the text. Because apparently prophets at this time were in a habit of naming their kids for prophetic reasons.
I have no idea how I forgot about that. That they had 3 sons. I don't know how I forgot about that. My brain just must not be working today.
He likes butt
Oh, no.
hats.
We got a prayer. We got somebody preaching in this chat. Oh no.
Yeah. Anyways, it doesn't look like we're getting any more opposition. I'm gonna give Isaac some time to come back. But if he doesn't, I'm probably gonna call it for the day.
All right.
But we'll give him some time to come to return to us. Peg the Patriarch, he says, at Astral, Jesus came inside me last time I was in Mexico. I met him on Tinder. Jesus. Righteous Kafir says Hebrew lexicon says hara means to become pregnant. It's an adjective to describe the action of being pregnant. Which Hebrew lexicon are you citing?
He might be looking at Blue Letter Bible. Blue Letter Bible, in the Strong's lists it as like will become pregnant, will conceive, but in actual lexicons it doesn't.
If you're using the Strong's Concordance, know that the Strong's Concordance isn't really telling you necessarily what the Hebrew means so much as it's telling you how did the King James authors choose to translate this word. But if I look at the word hara, and I look at, let's see, the BDAG, let's see.
I thought BDAG was Greek only.
Oh, sorry, no, the BDB.
Oh, BDB.
Brown, Drivers, Briggs. Hara, adjective, feminine, pregnant, absolute. So
I need to get me a copy.
yeah, pregnant as an attributive. So yeah, there you go. Substantive, pregnant women, women with child.
Dalton's
You know,
awesome.
the argument, the Hebrew argument is so silly to me. What they should be arguing is that the LXX predates, that tradition predates the Hebrew Bible, which obviously they can't do. But
I would just point them to the LXX might predate the Masorite text, but when we look at the Dead Sea Scrolls,
the
Great Isaiah Scroll, it says exactly the same thing. The only difference in the verse is actually in the word to call. Here, wait a minute. I guess, you know, everyone, you get to see what the Great Isaiah Scroll looks like right now. I'll pull it up. So here is the Great Isaiah Scroll. And let's see. If I go to Isaiah 7, verse 14 should be around here, I think. Yep, there it is. And when I look at the Hebrew of Isaiah 7:14 in the, how do I, there we go. Scroll in. It says, and we can see it here at the bottom, Ha'alma hara, and then the Yoladet ben Yikra Shemo Emmanuel. So the only difference here in the Dead Sea Scroll is that while the Masoretic text says Vikrat Shemo Emmanuel, here it says simply Yikra Shemo Emmanuel. But the part about, you know, it being hara, hey, resh, hey, which is the adjective, absolute adjective, it's still the same. So there you guys go. A little bit of a fun scholarship.
Yeah.
The earlier Hebrew text said the virgin is or will become pregnant, but my dog ate my homework.
Yeah. All right. Well, it looks like Homeboy isn't going to return. So I'm gonna find a live for you guys to go to. I might be doing I will be doing. Oh, actually, we got someone here. RIP. Are you at least 18 years old?
Hello.
Hello. Are you at least 18 years old?
Yeah, brother. I'm 20 plus.
And what pronouns do you go by?
What do you mean pronouns?
Pronouns are words that replace nouns in sentences in order to avoid repetition. Words like he, him, she, her, they, them.
Oh no, I'm from Malaysia, brother. I'm a male.
And in your what would be the if for you, what would be the pronoun that we go by?
I'm a man.
That's a gender.
Yeah, that's a gender, not a pronoun. So would people refer to you as like he went to the store, she went to the store, or they went to the store?
Of course, he. I'm a he.
There you go. And are you a Christian?
No.
All right. What brings you up to the panel?
No, I just want to discuss with you the truth if you want to hear.
But you're not a Christian.
No, I'm not a Christian.
Are
I'm
you
a
Muslim? Are you able to?
Malaysian Muslim.
So, quick question: how literate are you?
On Islam?
Can you read?
No.
You mean?
Rip. Can you
Like,
read?
were you able to read this above my head?
Yes, I can read it.
What's it say?
Why should you be a Christian?
Yeah. Notice it says Christian, not Muslim.
What does that insinuate about the kind of person I'm asking to come up and talk to me?
Did you know the truth, brother?
Anyways. So, anyways. Well, I don't know why Muslims keep coming up when I'm very clearly asking to talk to Christians. Keep your pedophile religion to yourself. Anyways, I'm gonna send you guys off somewhere. To let's see. My friend Sork is live, so if you guys want to go and hang out on Sork's live, that's cool. I'm gonna walk my dogs, and then I'm gonna keep the live going. But after I walk my dogs, I'll be back, and I'm gonna be doing Bible Guy After Dark, where I will just be listening to music and drawing stuff. If you're on YouTube right now, you're more than welcome to come over and join us while I'm drawing. It's probably gonna take me about 10 to 20 minutes or something like that to walk my dogs. But anyways, Sticks, Scientific Snitch, and Johnny B, thank you for joining me today.
Of course, brother. Anytime. You know that.
Have a good one.
You too.
See you later, Dalton. You have a good night. All right.
Will do. All right. And with that, I've been the Bible Guy. Remember to keep reading, keep learning, and we'll see you all again tomorrow.
Born from dust and questioning fire, wielding truth like a sword of desire. Ancient scrolls and cosmic flame, he tears through myth, he breaks the chain. Echoes of prophets, the stars align, knowledge and thunder intertwine. Reason ascends where blind faith fell. He reads the word and he reads it well. The Bible Guy, seeker of the light. Through time and fire he rides the night, with reason's blade and wisdom's cry. The world shall hear the Bible Guy. Scrolls of ages, words aflame. He dares to question every name. From Eden's dawn to Calvary's sky, he breaks the chains of every lie. Logos, Logos, the word and the flame. Reason shall rise, and truth has a name. The Bible Guy, he shines with reason's holy light. Through myth and faith, through earth and sky, forever our rights, the Bible